So for this video, I want to be talking about momentum and law of effort. Law of effort is one of Wyckoff's laws. It's a concept he introduced, and I would just want to briefly just give you some understanding of how you could use this to your advantage. Momentum, by definition, is like the velocity at which something moves. And just looking at the chart off the bat, would you be buying or selling this? I'm just going to give you a moment to just give you a moment. So realistically, if you look at it from a momentum point of view, from a momentum perspective, and we've touched on this before, it's taken price, for example, 1, 2, 3 bars, right, to make its move to the upside, whereas it's taken price 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bars to move to the downside. So if you look at it, right, and this is how you measure momentum, it's from your point of interest. So let's say we had an inefficiency here, right? You won't measure momentum from the whole price leg. You don't do it from the bottom here to the top, right? How you do it is from your point of interest here and drag it to the top, right? And then from the top all the way down to how long price is taken to retrace. Now, you can see that it's taken price less effort to move to the upside, and it's taken price more effort to move to the downside. So momentum in this case is clearly to the upside, right? And you need to don't use this as like a deciding factor for your trade. Use this as confluence. You should use momentum and allow it to coincide with your trade, right? So let's say you had your inefficiency here, right? It's taken price only 66 bars to move to the upside, whereas it's taken bars 197 bars to move to the downside. Literally almost triple actually. So less trades are more effective ones, right? Let me actually just write some key points for you. So you measure momentum from POI to the peak or the bottom and then the corrective from the top to the bottom, or how long it's taken for price to make the retracement, right? So it's taken price 66 bars to make a, what is this? To make a 80 pip move, right? Whereas it's taken price 197 bars to make a 70 pip move. Now let's say you just go onto the chart and you see price downtrending and you decide to short, right? And you had your point of interest line up and you short, right? Fair enough, you might have taken a good trade, you might have bagged an odd 50, 60 pips, but it took you, right? It took you 18 hours to accumulate that 50 pips. And then what you tend to see is that when price comes to your, sorry, give me a second. When price comes to your inefficiency, which coincides with momentum because momentum is clearly to the upside, what you see, boom, move up. Strong move up as well because momentum is to the upside. It takes price less effort to move to the upside. So it took you what, 18 hours to accumulate that 50 pips, and then it would have taken you what? Give me a second. We just measure this. And then it would have taken you, what, 3 hours to accumulate double that move. This is what I mean by less trades, but more effective one. You would have had to take 2 of these trades, and in what? You'd have had to take 2 of these trades to make the same move here. And you would have done, if you took this, you would have done that in what? Less than a quarter of that time. So understanding this, you can understand market direction and where price is willing to move. Like, yes, we did break structure to the downside here, but look at momentum. Its strength is to the upside. Now, to show you this from a perspective of, sorry, give me a second. Let me just. So, showing this from a perspective on the charts, you want to side with momentum, right? You don't want to be going against momentum because you know momentum is strong, right? So here, let's look at let's say there was a point of interest within this wick here, right? So you don't measure momentum from this low here just because it's lower than here. You don't do it from the low. You do it from your point of interest to the high. So that would have been 58 bars. Don't measure the time. You don't do it in time because it will also include the weekends. You don't measure time. Do it in bars. So 58 bars to move to the upside, right? Whereas it took price double that to move to the downside. So yeah, you could have seen this lacuna here, right? You could have seen this lacuna candle over here and shorted and made what, 40 pips. But understanding momentum, you could have longed here, right? And made 60 pips in literally like what? So this took what, 12 hours, and this here would have taken you 2 hours, literally 2 hours. So uh, the proof's in the pudding. Look, 12 hours to make 40 pips. Would you rather make 40 pips in 12 hours or 60 pips in 2 hours? And this would have been a more effective trade as well. Look, what's that? 28%. Understanding momentum and allowing yourself to side with it will give you much more advantage when like coming to the markets. And look, you can see it here as well. Look, momentum to the upside. Even here, look, this would have been a candle price mitigate out of, right? So point of interest to the top, 2 bars. Retracement took 38 bars. Look, this looks quite corrective, right? Price failed to break to the upside, and now we had momentum coming to the downside, right? So look, if we look here, from the top to this bottom here, right? 9 bars. How long it took price to attempt to come and breach this high here was 145 bars. So now it's taken price more effort to move to the upside. And what we see is price now moving lower with high momentum, with high velocity. It's taken price 20 pips. So let's calculate from this low here to this top here, for example, right? That's what, 44 pips. And it took price 7 hours to do that. But to the downside, we had 40 pips as well, but it took price an hour and a half to do that. Understanding momentum and siding with it is an important factor of the trade. Understand momentum and understanding momentum, pairing it with market structure is key. It's literally imperative. Make sure you have this in the bag. Um, Besides that, that's all I have to really touch upon. Um, just make sure you really like understand it, because most of the time you'll find inefficiencies and sponsored candles and whatnot. But if you don't side it with your momentum, you're just gonna lose. Like look at this for example here, yeah. So from here to the top, like I said before, was 58 bars, right? The retracement was 107 before price moved onwards. So you know momentum's to the upside. And then look, momentum was to the upside. We had this breakout, right? And this breakout was what? So what you do is now, let's say your point of interest was, let's say your point of interest was this inefficiency over here, right? So price took, this might not be a good example. Price took 8 bars from the point of interest, which is the inefficiency here, to the upside. It took 8 bars. And to make the retracement to the downside, it took 9 bars. Literally a bar more, but it coincided with momentum. It made sense. Like, logically, look, price came back down, filled that inefficiency, and we moved up. Might have been stopped here. No, it didn't really purge. But regardless, you understand that momentum was to the upside, and yeah, you might have price might have consolidated, and now even if you look at price action right now, we might have momentum to the downside, but until we breach these lows, you're still kind of looking for sells. I mean, sorry, you're still kind of looking for buyers, because look at the strength to the upside. At any point, price might show that similar strength to the upside. But yeah, besides that, thank you guys for listening. If you have any questions about momentum or law of effort, feel free to message me. And yep, that's it. On to the next.